How to use Facebook and Google Ads to help your e-commerce business in 2025. My full strategy, step by step. Let's go. Hi there, my name is Ricky Hayes and welcome to today's video on how to use Facebook ads and Google ads to help your e-commerce business in 2025 and beyond. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's plenty of videos in the channel. You can just go check it out. Pretty much give everything away free. And I've got a lot of videos coming up where I'll be teaching more and more about this. I'm just doing sort of one of my brands here, and you can see in the last 7 days results are up 30%. You can actually see had some pretty bad days. This is a real e-commerce brand. I'm actually building another brand as we speak, and I haven't gotten them all, but these are the some of the samples that I got. These are really nice, and so one of the things I'll be teaching is a lot about building brand. Like these samples, I think cost about $150 in total. You can see I've also got this too, which in this nice packaging that I got nice and branded too. For pajamas, I said that I would be showing a bit about this as well. You can sort of see all of that. And so, I really enjoy building e-commerce brands. I'm far from perfect at it, but this is sort of how I approach things. All right, so you can see here, this is in Facebook ads. In the last 30 days, have spent about $3,000 for 24,000 back, with an average cost of purchase of about $14. Now, again, this is in Australian currency. I actually ran some new campaigns and they performed really well. We're talking like $2 cost per purchase. That was for a new product launch. I'm using a lot of feedback. You can see I use the columns I sort of talk about a lot, where I look at hooks and retention, a number of these remarketing, and this is an Advantage Plus campaign, right? Very much absolutely crushing it compared to the others. And that's why I have scaled that further, right? But I'm not scaling it too aggressive again because I have a lot of logistical problems. Mainly because the product is very custom, it takes time as well, and that's just one thing that I just have to consider. That's why this brand doesn't really grow huge. My future brands, like as I'm building my activewear brand, as well as my pajama brand, there's a few issues with these as well. But in terms of this, like the sizing is tiny, right? This is the problem with when you get items from China. Their body composition a lot smaller. Whereas you look at someone for me, I know this is for women, but look at it like as a even for a small woman here in Australia, this is like for like a 14-year-old or something, right? So that's why you get samples. That's why you also sort of take your time. So I'm just trying to sort of talk a bit more about this stuff. Let's go into the Google Doc. I want to explain it a bit further about why you use both platforms. A lot of people say that you should only use one platform over the other. That's not true, right? Both platforms, in fact, every marketing platform has its advantages. It's just how you use it. It's like anything. This is sort of how I pretty much do it, using mainly Facebook and Google. So let's get into that. So it's important to understand Facebook is easy to get into, right? It's easier to get into, but it is incredibly difficult and the most time consuming to scale, right? If you look at agencies, a lot of agencies that focus on Google can actually work generally with a lot more clients per media buyer as opposed to Facebook. Because Facebook, you require a lot more creatives, you do a lot more ad testing, you get results fast, but it requires a lot more manpower. Google requires it's a lot steeper learning curve, although I will admit, Google is now, you look at it 2-3 years ago to where it is now, it is pretty easy, right? It does 80% of the legwork for you. Again, they're really trying to model Facebook in their own way, where it's basically, it does most of the work. The targeting, it helps you with the keywords, it helps you with all the copy, and you just basically upload some creatives. In fact, it obviously does AI images and stuff as well for you. Although obviously I still recommend doing your own as well. AI images are fantastic, but without, you still need manual human intervention is sort of my 2 cents. Facebook is very complex as you scale, especially if you're wanting to spend thousands upon thousands a day. You will spend hours a day in there. And that's part of the reason I don't scale too aggressively, is I prefer to go very slow and steady, and not spend all my time on Facebook. I prefer to be spending time on getting products, testing products. Like this is fantastic, right? Genuinely fantastic product, right? I haven't put it in the wash yet, so I need to test that to test shrinkage as well. And I've got another item down here too that's also in pink. But is my point being is that I prefer to focus on the product. I more or less find that with ads, what you're doing is you're just doing simple marketing. If you've got a good product and you focus on the product, these platforms will find you by it, right? So I keep it simple and I scale slow and steady. And that makes the Facebook side of it that becomes very complex as you scale, not so much a problem. I actually, if I'm honest, prefer to use Facebook primarily for remarketing, cold traffic, of course, as well. But I prefer to use other platforms like influencer marketing and then with Facebook. If you want to know more about that, let me know. More than happy to teach all of that as well. As I said, Google is harder to get into. You have to set up Google, you have the sales channel, Google Merchant Center, and then get your products approved. There's a bit of work there. You need to do stuff on your store to make sure you're compliant with Google. Then you need to integrate Google Merchant Center into Google Ads. You need to set up Google Analytics as well for your remarketing tag. So there's a lot of technical work as opposed to Facebook where it is a lot less initially. Both have their pros and cons. But again, I just wanted to say, and then Google takes a lot longer to get moving in terms of results. So you need to be patient. As you saw from what I showed you in the Ads Manager, brand search 32% CTR, right? You're never going to get that from any other campaign ever. That's because it's a brand search, and why I'll go into that and why that campaign is just honestly, I don't even touch it because you shouldn't unless you're running, new copy, of course, where you might help do all of that. But yeah, anyway, so both have their respective advantages. When you're, as I said, on Facebook, you mainly don't focus on the ad set and campaign. There's a million different strategies on that, but really what you focus on is the creative, right? The creative is everything. Most of my campaigns, I'm not doing interest targeting at all. You don't do any targeting, literally nothing. Like you couldn't get any easier than that. It is just so bizarre and amazing by the same token. You do creatives like AI UGC partnership ads, and carousel Advantage Plus campaigns as well work well, especially if you've got quite a few SKUs. And so I like, my favorite is these because AI UGC, and that is fantastic, but it still does have its drawbacks. I still use it, but I find that UGC partnership ads and Advantage Plus catalog ones always do better. I also have done ones that are instant experience, which work quite well too. But again, what I'm trying to say is that when you're running Facebook ads, just try and stick with it as much as possible. Authenticity. I think that doing AI UGC is fine, and as long as your script is based on authenticity. But if you can use partnership ads, UGC, and Advantage Plus, and you're just going to give customers a more transparent experience, which always helps with what is your core goal, lifetime value, right? So I focus on lifetime value. My lifetime value sits at around 30-40%, and that helps me a lot with my profitability. As you can see, spent $4,000 or $5,000 and getting whatever it was, in a month, like 40-50,000. And so the profitability is guaranteed. A lot of people struggle with profitability. So I go with a slow, steady approach, 20% increase if my results are good. And also if I can handle the additional orders, right? Some people can, some people can't. And obviously you have to factor in seasonal shifts of your business as well. So you can watch my videos. I just wanted to add that there, mainly on Facebook. Plenty in my channel. By no means am I the best creator there, but I also find purchase LLAs do work well. I've got one that's actually working well. It's a 4-6% purchase LLA, and I sort of teach all that. You can just go check that out in the channel. Or there's plenty of other channels as well. I don't recommend as well ever really getting a course. You don't really need courses. There is literally so many videos online. You learn it, learn the fundamentals, and literally do it yourself, right? You can get a mentor in that, and there's benefits, of course, to a mentor, of course, too. But honestly, I'm an advocate for just watching some videos, doing it yourself. You'll learn 1,000 times more. It'll just click in your head. Make sure to set up dynamic product ads. So that's one of the things I love about Facebook is the catalog. Once you integrate it, you do dynamic product ads. And what will happen, right? It's basically remarketing, 30-day view content, add to cart. I don't change that. If I'm honest, I don't get enough purchases to do purchase and narrow it down. I just go view content, add to cart, and it excludes purchases automatically. And I just do simple copy. Hey, come back and complete your order. We're an Australian business, whatever that might look like, right? So just some very basic copy works extremely well, right? That bottom campaign that I showed you in Facebook was the one that just runs on autopilot. And then what you want to do is you go on Google, right? And this is where the strategy starts tying in. And you run a Performance Max campaign with products integrated from your Merchant Center. Obviously, you need your Merchant Center approved. I recommend if you want a video on that, I can show you more about that. There's a bit of work in the Merchant Center, not a huge amount, but a bit of work to make sure it's optimized properly, because you have things like free listings, you have your paid ads listings, you have your logo that you can use in your PMAX campaigns. So there is a bit of technical work involved there, and it's worth doing because once you have it set up, you really don't touch it. Um, and you set up your asset group, right? And you use certain keywords, right? So look at popular keywords in your space, and Google will help with that. And then I just use the Google Ads copy wizard in GPT in ChatGPT. It's just a free GPT. There's a number out there. Just look at the GPTs if you're using ChatGPT. As making the descriptions and all that takes the longest, and it's always recommended to do 5 headlines, 5 descriptions, and 5 long descriptions as well. So Google can optimize for you, right? And then you sit back, let it do its thing. It really is amazing. For creatives, I recommend using tools like CapCut, Canva. I'm using this recording. I use CapCut. I use Canva for thumbnails. I use Canva for various things. I have a graphic designer that helps me a lot with these things as well. But for you, just use tools like that. And the reason I recommend using tools like that is there's so much support online. You just go on YouTube and there's plenty of tutorials because they're staple tools basically. So again, set up your PMAX campaign using cold keywords that align best to your brand, right? So just use in the Google keywords, there's a Google keyword planner. You can use the keyword planner, find some high volume relevant keywords and use it, and then Google sort of does some targeting. In the beginning, you don't have any data, so you just sort of use that. Over time, you'll have remarketing lists, and you can start to do additional asset groups on different remarketing lists, as well as similar audiences, which a similar audience is pretty much a lookalike, right? It's basically just using an audience and making a lookalike. They just call it similar audience, right? So, and then you want to set up a brand search campaign. A brand search campaign, you just want to use a tool called Keywords Wrapper. It's free. You just Google it. I just use it to put in the keywords and it wraps them for phrase and exact match. That's all you want to do. And it just saves you 30 seconds. I mean, you can do it in Google anyway, but I'm just in the habit of doing that. And basically you want to run a DSA ad, RSA, which is a responsive search ad, or dynamic search ad, I think as some people refer to it as well. Anyway, and put in use the Google Ads copy wizard, follow the prompts, do some prompts, and it'll help you with some high converting headlines and descriptions. That'll save you a lot of time that you can just sort of put in there and use as much of that space as possible. I recommend using site link and call out extensions as well. Again, you want to utilize that space, and if you can add images as well, just use the image. It just all helps with your click-through rate. And honestly, you don't touch it really much after that. So what does this basically mean, right? So now that we've set up a dynamic remarketing campaign on Facebook, catalog ads, we're doing cold ads on Facebook, we're also doing Performance Max and brand search. Now we're running a combination of cold and remarketing. Well, here's the benefit of doing both. This is that you then using Performance Max are then a lot marketing to people that are using shopping ads, search and shopping ads. And you will get cold traffic there. Google, you get good conversions through there as well, but the best thing you get as well is those that don't convert, you're getting high quality, high intent traffic. It's always the benefit of a search engine and why it'll always be relevant. And basically then from there, a lot of people that won't buy then always end up on Facebook or Instagram. Most people, especially, it's Instagram. You will find that a lot of e-commerce people, especially from my age demographics, 25, 44, and they might do some stuff on Google and so on and so forth, but they end up on Instagram, and then they see your products dynamically remarketed. They're, oh, yep, come back and buy. You don't need to add a discount, and that's the power of it, right? Is that remarketing is always where the money is, right? Most of the time, first time interaction, people always hesitate. Think about that in every element of your life. You usually need to follow up a couple of times, so then people are like, okay, I trust these people. Yes, I'll take the leap, right? A lot of people just hesitate. That's just human psychology. And so basically doing that, then you're using shopping ads to then Facebook, where you're automatically remarketing to them based on their exact experience, right? Which is really awesome. You don't have to touch it, and it just all automatic, right? So that in itself is amazing. Then if you're running cold ads on Facebook, which I imagine most of us would be, you're running cold ads for a product or products. Then as well as that, you also then have, you can start over time doing Performance Max once you have enough data to do remarketing lists on Google as well. So that also then they're converting there too. But in the beginning, you do always do a brand search, because a lot of people still, as much as ChatGPT is the new search engine, Google has their own LLM in that now. So blah, 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 blah. What will guaranteed happen is in Google's LLM, they will have their shopping integration over time as well, because we all know that people are moving to LLMs for their search queries. It's more talking to something rather than just doing a search query. And I guarantee over time as well, there'll be ChatGPT integration naturally as well for this. So make sure you keep that in the back of your mind. But by running a brand search, people still do a lot of search to look at your business. Is it authentic? What its reviews are? They see it, they click it, then they convert, right? So you just send them to your homepage and that's it, right? And then as a result of that, your Facebook campaigns are also then sending traffic to Google, because they actually both work, right, in unison. People say that you should only do Facebook. Some people say you should only do Google, but actuality, it's actually both, right? There's TikTok, there's Pinterest, but those don't have the synergy that Facebook and Google do. Facebook and Google, no matter what people say about the future, are always interlinked, right? And so, and that'll only become more and more prevalent with LLMs and what's going to happen in the foreseeable future when it comes to that. I do find that I spend about 60% at least of my budget on Facebook. As you can see, I spend a fraction on Google as opposed to Facebook. So, because Google does have a lot of scalability, but profitability is lower, okay? Whereas Google does have scalability, but over a longer time, and usually profitability is higher. So you want to juggle both, right? And so because you think that, just increasing Facebook budget on Google is the answer. No, that's not the case. That's the downside of a search engine. Keyword search volume. Obviously, Google have worked a lot around this with Performance Max to make more sort of broader targeting, and they're trying to push people towards that. Whereas with Facebook, because it is interest, there's just and you do no interest targeting, it literally just constantly just finds new people. So that's why like people gravitate to Facebook, because it's got more instantaneous results. But people that know Google usually find that it's a lot more stable and a lot more scalable, because it's a lot more profitable. Clients are happier, brands are happier, business owners happier. So make sure you always keep that in mind as well. Okay. I just wanted to add some notes again. Use the Shopify app for the Google and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Just follow the prompts. I have videos on it in the channel, but it's pretty straightforward. Go in there, connect your assets, and it does the conversion tracking. It sets up your catalog, it sets up your pixels, and it's all free. You don't need to pay for these third-party apps. It is very straightforward. Yes, you can use other third-party apps, do have their benefits, but 99% of use cases, you really don't need it, if I'm to be perfectly honest with you. And so, I also just want to say that you'll spend most of your time on Facebook, right? I spend 90% of my time on Facebook as opposed to Google, right? If I'm spending $5,000 here and I'm spending $500 here, naturally I'm going to spend 10 times more time here, because I'm going to be getting more data. I'm going to be making sure that I'm getting every penny that I can, okay? So make sure you're just sort of aware of those things as well. But that's sort of how I pretty much run my brands, and how I plan to keep running my brands. As I do things like TikTok ads, more influencer marketing for my new brands, I plan to be sort of showing everything that I sort of learned there step by step, and all the failings, because I've never been in fashion specifically. I've been more in others, and fashion is a very new space to me. And want to make sure I sort of learn and get it right and teachable, because I think it's a fantastic industry. It's most saturated, but there's a reason it's saturated. It's because there is so much opportunity there as well. So I hope you have found today's video helpful. If you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely day. Take care and goodbye.